that, and this is really going to be very interesting. Very, very welcome. Okay.
Colleagues, you are most welcome to our third echo session. Just testing to see if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Winnie.
Christine, can you hear me?
Winnie, we can hear you.
Hello.
I can also hear you.
Hello.
Hello, Winnie, we can hear you.
We can hear you, Winnie.
We can hear you.
Christine, can you hear me? What?
Winnie, we can all hear you.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Winnie. Go ahead, Winnie.
I can't hear anyone.
For us, we can hear you very well.
We can hear you and we can see you.
Maybe she not join with audio.
Winnie, check your audio. Check your audio, check your speaker, or you
Okay.
and join again.
Kenneth, can you please show the housekeeping slides? Members, you are most welcome to our third echo session. I don't hear anyone say anything, but at least I see messages in the chat saying that we are okay. I'm sorry that we have lost a lot of time. I had an unstable connection, but I'm sure the French speakers are already connected to the French channel. The housekeeping items are the usual ones. Please restrict your use of chat to only what is relevant to the session. Kindly rename yourself with your name and organization so that we know each other. As much as possible, keep your videos on if the bandwidth allows, since this is a community of practice. And we'll ensure that all microphones are muted at all times and they're speaking next. Next, Kenneth. Okay, remember that the session is recorded and that the presentation slides and recording link will be shared at the end of this session. For the certificate of attendance, you will receive it after the registering using the survey. So there's an attendance sheet in the chat. There's a link. I've already seen in the chat that some people cannot access it. I hope this has been rectified by the team. Oh, okay, so the next item will be introductions. We would like very brief introductions from the Kenya and Rwanda participants, please tell us your name and what organization you come from, that you're in, and then the role that you play in your institution. Over now.
Thank you, Winnie. I guess it is now open to our colleagues from Rwanda and Kenya to introduce themselves.
Colleagues, I propose that someone takes over because I cannot hear you at all, so I wouldn't know where we are. Christine, can you help me to go over the introductions and the agenda? Thank you.
That is fine. Okay, so anybody from Rwanda, please open your mic and introduce yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
So good morning to everyone. Good afternoon to wherever you are. I'm sorry I was in a class. I tried to go out. So my name is Theoneste Rutaisire. I work for University of Rwanda. I'm an assistant lecturer. Of course, I teach some courses in my field of study, which are agricultural engineering. But apart from teaching, I also play a role as a e-learning champion, where I help my colleagues, staff, to get trained on how to use those computers or any other ICT tools to manage e-learning management systems. I train them how to upload the materials, how to prepare materials that could be uploaded online.
Okay.
And I'm even a scholar at Arizona State University, where I'm getting trained to boost my knowledge and the skills I already have.
Thank you.
So that I can help my colleagues.
Thank you, Theoneste. And next person from Rwanda, and please be very brief, less than a minute. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and go next. Hi, my name's Matt Ames. I'm an instructional technologist and assistant professor at the University of Global Health Equity here in Rwanda. Looking forward to getting more involved in this organization. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Matt. We really are glad to have you, and Theoneste. Next person.
Hello, my name is Obed Bijirimana. I'm the instructional technology assistant. I work with Dr. Matt. Matt is my boss. So basically, I work with instructors to help them move online, and I teach IT and health course. Thank you.
Thank you, Obed. We are really excited to have you. Next person.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leila Dusave, and I'm a research assistant for the University of Global Health Equity.
Thank you, Linda.
To be here.
Happy to see you. Next person from Rwanda. Any other person from Rwanda? Okay, so can we have colleagues from Kenya? Do we have anybody from Kenya? All right, so I guess they will introduce themselves as they come in. For now, Ken, would you continue to project the agenda, please? Okay. So quickly, today's agenda is really brief as usual. We are going to have Dr. Judith take us through a case. We are going to have a case presentation and a discussion. After that, we shall have a presentation from our subject matter expert, who will later introduce himself. I will not introduce him now. And this is not going to take us a lot of time. We shall have a short time so that we have more time dedicated to a discussion. And after the discussion, which is going to involve all of us, we are going to hear from one of us, Constance, who will give us some key findings from the 2 surveys that we have taken since we started this community of practice. And after that, our own Dr. Irene Naigaga is going to give us closing remarks. So briefly, that is our agenda for today. And allow me at this point to invite Dr. Richard, who is going to introduce to us today's topic, and go ahead and introduce our case presenter. Richard, you are very welcome. Thank you.
Richard, you're muted.
I'm sorry. So thank you so much, Christine, for that. And good evening, colleagues, or good morning from wherever you are located. I welcome you to this session, informative session today. Our topic today is constructive alignment, the foundation for online module design. It has a practical component and a theory component, like we shall explain as we move on. That's what we're going to deal with today, constructive alignment. And it is to do with the module design, because as we know, our community of practice should be able to design online modules. So where do we start? We begin with the constructive alignment. And I would wish to introduce to you our case study presenter of the day. Our case study presenter is Dr. Judith Georgette Makombu Nwengun. She's the head of Department, Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Management, Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine, University of Beu, Cameroon. She's very experienced in that area, but she's also coming here to present a case in the area of constructive alignment. So, Christine, allow me to hand over to Dr. Makombu to present the case, then the committee can open up for discussion. Over to you.
Thank you. Dr. Judith, over to you.
Maybe they can share her slides as she prepares, maybe. Dr. Judith, over to you. Could it be the network? Maybe Christine.
Yes.
Maybe you could talk through those slides as you, maybe she has gone offline, the network problem.
I am trying to catch up with her. I'm trying to connect with her.
Okay.
On the side.
Since she had sent in the case, maybe someone can just guide us through the slides.
Okay.
Center for Advanced Mining in Emerging Practice.
Okay, so as we wait for her, I think let me attempt to go through her slides, even when I hadn't looked at them anyway. But Richard, Ken, do you want to go to the next slide? So this is a case that Dr. Judith has prepared for us for a discussion. Colleagues, if she comes up, you can let us know because I don't seem to see in the side. So she puts a case before us that COVID-19 has led to lockdown in her country, in Cameroon, and the community became a ghost. It became a ghost town, okay? And this became more or less a new normal. Some of the students, as well as the faculty, relocated to distant places, distant regions. Some went up country because of the lockdown. However, it was true that learning had to continue even when there were these challenges. And I'm sure most of us can associate with these challenges in this case that Judith is presenting to us. Next. So because of this abrupt or unprecedented event, lockdown, many of our lecturers or faculty were faced with a challenge to upload their materials. This could have been notes, PowerPoint slides, etc. online. And this is the Moodle Learning Management System. So with time, students complained that they want to attend face-to-face classes because the materials that were uploaded could not actually equate to the face-to-face they were used to, okay? And of course, you could see that there was a gap somewhere because the students were not finding this a friendly environment to learn. So on the other hand, the lecturers or the faculty do not have the skills of designing these online courses because this came so abruptly and they had to switch so quickly. Next. So among the things that have been put in place to try and solve the challenge at hand was to gather, first of all, the materials that these lecturers had and that they were using for face-to-face classes and have them deposited or even uploaded onto Moodle platform so that the learners could get them, have them printed, but also learn on their own. The other one is to give exams and tests or assessments to learners at the end of the semester. Next. So this is the case, or this is the situation that Judith is presenting to us as a community, as an e-learning community for a discussion. So advice on how we can blend courses with effective structure and good features of effective online learning and occasional face-to-face, but also would like to identify mentors or learner support specialists to work with to support the learners. Okay, next. So our big question for us as an e-learning community today is how can we as faculty in our respective universities structure online courses constructively to have them aligned with the intended learning outcomes. So this is the challenge, this is the question that is before us as a community for discussion today. over to you, colleagues.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Christine. I think now we can welcome comments and maybe the different ways that the community wishes to advise or to handle such a situation. So Christine, maybe people are typing in the chat, I don't know. Because nobody has raised, nobody has unmuted.
Okay, I'm trying to check in the chat room. Anybody who has a comment, questions, responses, is this case something that you associate with? We want to hear from you, colleagues.
I have a submission. This is Winnie speaking, Kansime Winnie from Makerere University. So I believe in our constructive alignment, when we come to our intended learning activities, we have to redesign the activities which these students have to do in order to achieve our intended learning outcomes. Because during the face-to-face sessions, it was much easier to give them activities like group work, group discussions, and then they come and deliver that, and that could be used for assessment. But in this online case, we might have to revisit those activities which we used to offer to these students, so that most of them might be in different places, different districts, so that this can become something. We have to create engagement between the students themselves at a distance, and also us overseeing and moderating these activities as they do them. And that's something we have to think along the lines. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie. Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? I can see in the chat, we have comments from Matt. Matt, do you want to speak to your comment?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I think one way to align a course with the intended outcomes is to start with your objectives and look at your objectives in terms of Bloom's taxonomy. And if you're, just for example, if your objective is just something like simple, like remember the capital of Kenya, then you can sort of create, an assignment that just asks a person to remember that specific skill. But if you're looking at like an upper level objective, like create a design for a capital city, then you're looking at a more complicated learning outcome, and so that you would use, say, the learning management system online technology to create a project for students to work on. Maybe they're working on building videos together, or PowerPoints, or an assignment, or writing a paper, and so that you can use these learning management systems to create more complicated technologies that engage students in cooperative learning more. And so that, and I think if you start with the outcome, you can sort of match that up with the intended technology that would best match up with.
Thank you so much, Matt, for reminding us the Bloom's taxonomy. I think this is quite important. And so colleagues, I guess we can continue pasting our comments, our questions in the chat room, but for purposes of catching us up with time, allow me to invite Richard to wrap up this and transition to giving us his presentation. Richard, over to you.
Thank you so much, Christine, and I thank you, colleagues, for that, and the two colleagues who have commented, and the others that are yet to continue commenting. Yes, indeed, the challenge that our colleague Judith has presented in that case is a valid challenge. Sometimes you find that modules, what we call modules online, are just notes and handouts and PowerPoint slides and PDFs. And so they put them on the system and then expect that learners will learn on their own. And that's why maybe in her case, someone she said that learners prefer to come back for face-to-face and study face-to-face, because if you just dump material on the learning management system, say PDFs and slides, it's like you saying in a face-to-face class that I have put for you all the handouts at the photocopying machine, or I've emailed them to you. I'll come back with the exam after 3 months. So what happens in there? Okay, and then if you want to have the online class be like the physical class, that it should be interactive, then what happens? Because once you make the other class interactive and it is following the learning outcomes as guided by Bloom's taxonomy, and that's pointed out by Christine who spoke and Matt, then probably you have a course. So this is a valid point. And many institutions have material online, but because of that lack of constructive alignment, you find that learners are complaining. The lecturer says, I have the material online. Learners are saying, we are not learning. And learning online can be possible when the material is constructively aligned. So, Christine, that's what I can comment about that case. I don't know whether I should just transition into the presentation.
Yes, thank you. You can transition. We shall continue to discuss the other comments as they come in. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much. Once again, let me share these slides. Okay, so I want us to talk about constructive alignment, and we're saying that it is the, and I need to remove this. We're saying that it is the foundation of online module design. Now, as we continue in in our community of practice sessions, we are going to eventually do practicals on Moodle, of having our courses on the Moodle platform. But before you put a course on Moodle, you must have organized it in a way that is ready to go on Moodle. And so I expect that, I hope that in the next session that we shall have, we're going to be practically now designing our courses. But the first thing every module designer or instructional designer, or online module facilitator, or any teacher would think about is constructive alignment. How do I ensure that the resources or activities that I'm giving align well with the outcomes? So by the end of my presentation, you should be able to explain constructive alignment as designers now, describe the features of a constructively aligned online course. So I'm going to do a demonstration of a Moodle course and just justify the linkage between intended learning outcomes, activities, and assessment. That's what I expect by the end of my presentation. Okay, so constructive alignment itself. Learners construct or create meaning out of learning activities and learn. That means learning takes place with activities. If you don't give me activities, then probably I will not learn. If I just sit and look, that's not learning. Okay, so we're saying that our learners can construct knowledge and meaning when they're given activities. But learning activities are guided by the intended learning outcomes. And we shall see in one of our sessions how to design those learning outcomes. How do you design intended learning outcomes so that learning can take place? And what you want learners to be able to do at the end of the teaching experience should guide on what type of activities you engage them in. So the facilitator would then assess, check whether intended learning outcomes are being achieved. So when you're assessing or giving examinations, again, those examinations or assessments or continuous assessment, that tests and assignments that you give, all rotate around what you want learners to be able to do, the intended learning outcomes. So learning outcomes drive what we do. I don't know how to, this small thing, I don't know how to remove it. Do I hide? Okay, so now the screen is clear. Constructive alignment is relating learning activities and assessment strategy to intended learning outcomes. And the person who came up with this concept was called Biggs, came up with this model of constructive alignment. By saying, we were saying that we need to have intended learning outcomes. What should learners know or be able to do by the end of the learning experience? Then activities, how the learners learn. Are you going to give them articles to read? Then you give them questions to answer, then they discuss in discussion forums, then watch some videos. But all of these are related to what you want them to do. For example, if you want them to, if one of your intended learning outcomes is that by the end of this course, you should be able to write an English essay. Then the activities you give are related to a learner learning how to write an English essay. So they'll read books of writing an essay, watch videos of writing an essay, do role playing, okay? Write sample essays and exchange them or give them to you to have a look. Everything is rotating around essays. Watch videos about essays. Then you come and check, measure whether learning is taking place. Again, guided by learning outcomes. Again, you'll examine, ask them questions to do with writing an English essay. You will not set a learning outcome that requires a learner to learn how to write an English essay, then give them videos of how to drive a lorry. Now, there will not be alignment. Or examine how to ride a bicycle when you intended to show them, to enable them learn how to write an English essay. So, intended learning outcomes drive the whole process. And when the outcomes are balanced with the activities and the assessment, then learners will have the best learning experience. So the beginning in online module design is constructive alignment. Now, many colleagues, when you say we're going to prepare an online course, they want you, the trainer, to go online and click into the computer and start putting material. No, you have first plan with colleagues, plan with them. What are your learning outcomes? Okay, what are the activities you want to give? How do you design activities? How do you assess? So that when the person has written this somewhere well arranged, then they go into the learning management system, into the Moodle, and practically do the work. So it all starts with planning. And I pray that when you go for the next session to be now intended learning outcomes and then entering them into the system. But I wanted to share with you one of the courses that has constructive alignment on our learning management system, which we call the Makerere University Electronic Learning Environment, Mwele. So I'm going to go to this link and I share with you one of the courses. So allow me to stop sharing this and then share with you something, of course, and you see how we can constructively align a course by the example that I want to show. So this is one of the courses that we have at Makerere University. It's a research methodology course, and it is designed in such a way that it begins with a welcome message from the facilitator, like you do in a physical class. You welcome your learners. Then it has, of course, an announcements area. And so when a learner comes, this is what they see. It has some resources, okay? Some resources here which learners can refer to, some PDFs, okay? Like a mini library of the course. Now, beyond that, it goes into the different topics. The different topics, these are different topics. I'm just taking you through a tour. These are different topics, okay? And there are 8 topics. Then there's an evaluation, there are discussion forums, and I'll show you where those forums fall. And then there are also quizzes where learners can reflect on their own learning. So I'm going to go into one of the topics and we see how a topic is designed with constructive alignment. And all this is done before going online. So if you go to one of the topics, which one, maybe okay, topic number 2. This is Moodle. This is a Moodle platform. So when I go click here to access. I click here. This is how it has been designed using that tool. It's called the lesson tool. Okay, so if you have been in the course before, course will ask you that, do you want to start at the last page you saw? I'm going to say no, so that I start this topic at the beginning so that you can see how it is constructively aligned. So when I say no, it should take me to the first page of my course. It's still trying to, oh. So let's try it again. Okay, so the course begins with the learning outcomes, because we said that all teaching begins with learning outcomes. So on the first page of this course, we have our intended learning outcomes for topic. For that topic we have gone, and then the indicative content also. So what is covered here and what are the intended learning outcomes of this topic? So by the end of this unit, you should be able to describe the steps in the research process, state a good research problem, develop a concept, design objectives, hypotheses, and research questions. So these are the learning outcomes. So the designer of this course went into each topic and started designing learning outcomes based on Bloom's taxonomy. So after learning outcomes, the next thing are activities. So I'm going to go to next and see how this course is designed. So I've clicked here on next, because one of the features of a good online course is the navigation. So we're calling them activities. Activities is a term that was coined by someone called Gilly Salmons to refer to electronic activities. So we have a small conversation here. Now, just like you converse in a physical class, even here you converse with your learners. What are overall outcomes are addressed by this topic? What is the purpose of this topic? So just like you can justify in a physical class why learners are learning something, even here we are saying you can justify. Then when you say over to you, what are the learners' responsibilities? What are they supposed to do? Then you go to preparatory research. That for them to learn this topic, they can read some resources, they can watch some videos, and you have put links. For example, when you say, maybe go to these slides here, you say, read a mini lecture, maybe if you click there, it can be a small mini lecture. A mini lecture can be like a brief on an aspect that you would wish that they read about. So something that they can read briefly about. So then they navigate back. If there are videos, tell them click here and then watch that video. Then you give activities. Okay. Now what do you want me to do? Okay. You are now going to start preparation of a concept paper. Go to that unit 2 activities discussion forum here. Each group should have one discussion thread. While in the discussion forum, create, now you're giving tasks, online tasks. Create a new discussion topic with your group name and activity number for your group. For example, if you're in Team Lions, because these ones are grouped, type in the new discussion topic, Lions, activity 2.1. All discussions for Team Lions should be replies in that heading. Under it, discuss and identify a research problem in a business research in your area of specialization and develop a problem statement. Select another member of the group to be a weaver. So weaver is going to summarize what the group says. We'll compile a final problem statement and post it by 14th March. Okay. In coming up with the research problem, be as original as possible. So these learners are doing these topic steps in the research process, and they are given some resources to read. After these resources, after reading these resources, okay, including research problems, one of the resources, the task is there. I'm also telling them to go in a discussion forum. So let me click on the discussion forum and you said how discussions happen online. Now, all this work is planned before going to Moodle. You plan. The mistake that many more designers do, or some of our colleagues, when they say they want to put a course online, they log into the system and start typing and uploading. But what you do, you plan these activities outside the platform, then put them there later. And we're going to, colleagues, we're going to go through in these community of practice sessions. We shall go with you, slowly work with you on how you design these outside the platform, then load them on the platform. So that a learner can reach. When I click on the discussion forum, where I want my learners to go and have discussion, let me see what I find. So this is the forum. So my learners in this discussion forum, there are many, you see, and they are in teams because I grouped them. When I go in one of the teams, for example, Australia here, I can click here and I see what the learners are discussing. Okay, so in this discussion group, they have drawn some pictures there. Okay, and then I'm not going to do a discussion, but you can see when you look here, there are different individuals contributing to a topic, okay, in a way of discussion. I'm not going to read the discussion now in detail because I read this already when they were putting them. So after going through this discussion, I also come in somewhere, okay, and I talk to the team, and I point out the issues that that I want them to maybe improve upon, and then they continue. So all these activities are coming out of the learning outcomes, okay? Then after they have done activities, like I've shown here in the course, the activity where we have gone, we now go for assessment. So I come down here and then I give them a reflection. I give them reflection questions and I give them a quiz. I want to check whether learning has taken place. So they can also self-reflect. There are questions where they can self-reflect whether they have learned, okay? Whether they have learned. And Moodle, the time we come to load this material, we shall see. This one is taking me to what? To preview. So I can, because I'm the teacher, I can preview this quiz. And 199 of the learners attempted. So there are questions here that I gave them. I can describe the steps in the research process. I can state a good research problem. This self-reflection and self-assessment, they assess themselves. But after they have told me what they can do, I even give them a chance to state some of the things that they want us to improve and areas that they have not understood well. Okay, so let me go back to the topic. So here, they can reflect. They also can have a content quiz where I ask them questions, do the real content, and again, check. And this is only one topic. So this topic began with the intended learning outcomes, as remember on the previous page. Let me go to previous page, just remind as I close here. So they began with intended learning outcomes of this topic, okay? Then went to the next page, because the outcomes are here. They guided on the activities that we gave, the resources that they are reading are guided by the outcomes, the activities, and then there's an assessment activity. So I can check, then of course, navigate back. And as teachers in the Moodle course, is what you can do. When you turn editing on, you can create quizzes, you can create material, you can create many things. But for this particular session, I was just emphasizing the importance of constructive alignment. Why is it important that we align our courses, and how does a constructive aligned course look like? So that beyond here, we shall now go and do practical design of courses. Learners should know who you are, and then they should have some resources and then material. But what some people do, they only put resources and stop at that. Now, these resources can't teach a learner. The teaching happens in the activities that you give inside here. And that's why the other learners in the case study, we are saying, you have sent us these handouts, but us want face-to-face classes because we are not learning anything. These things can't talk to us. The speaking comes in these topics, and then the assessment comes in those different topics. So I beg to end this presentation, this slide, this show, and then welcome any questions from you. I thank you. Christine?
Thank you very, very much, Richard. This was really comprehensive, quite a lot in a short period of time. Thank you. There are quite a number of things I have learned personally from your presentation, and I know colleagues, you have questions, you have comments, so this is the time. But maybe before I can open it up, let me first read out this one question that is coming up from the community. A question is that, can students read the course directly on the platform, or do they have to download them? That's a question to you, Richard.
Okay, now this course is designed on the platform, but they can also download those things. They can especially for those who are in areas where network is poor. They can download those things and read them from elsewhere, but the activities to be done synchronously. I mean, there are discussion forums online, so you can go with the resource, but you can print out that page of the activities, the second page that I demonstrated. You can print it out. For example, I was here, topic number 2. A learner can come and read this. They can copy, okay? This is okay. They can highlight these things and copy them maybe, and go and continue reading if your network is poor, because we have problems of network. If your network is poor, you can read from outside the system. You can highlight, you can copy this whole eTVT page, okay? But there are these links here. Maybe you can click in those links and copy everything, you know, and then, but yeah, you have to come and read. And if you have to contribute to the discussion forum, you have to come and click here and come and contribute here. But you can take these off, read, but come back here, remind yourself and click there, because of you need to do what we call social constructivism. You have to come, put resources, go in the discussion forum, contribute to the discussion, learn from others. Then you can read offline. You can. Christine.
Okay, thank you. I think there are other questions coming in, but colleagues, feel free to open your mic and air out your question or addition, comment. The floor is open. In the meantime, Richard, the other question that has come in is, others are coming to me directly. What challenges have you encountered in the process of this constructive alignment that you've just taken us through? Over to you, Richard. But in the meantime, colleagues, type your questions and or open your mic and speak. Over to you, Richard.
Yeah, thank you so much. If I've understood the question clearly, what challenges? Maybe when you are starting the process of constructive alignment, with the challenge I faced that time I was starting to do this, the early years I was trying to do this, is trying to define clear learning outcomes, what some people call objectives, defining them, because they have to be measurable. And remember, they guide everything that you do. And should you mess them a little when you're defining them, then you may end up identifying the wrong resources, giving the wrong assessments, okay? So the challenge of defining outcomes, then aligning that time. But of course, with the time, with the continuous training, with working with the colleagues, slowly by slowly, I got there. Then it takes also some time to design. Remember, you have to design it offline. It's better first do it offline, plan, then bring it online when it is more or less ready. But if you plan inside the system, it may be difficult. So that also at first was a challenge for me, because when I was going to get into eLearning, I thought day one, log onto the system, start putting stuff on the system. No, just like someone wants to construct a house. You get a piece of land and then start putting bricks together. No, there's a plan on paper for a house. There's a plan on paper, plan everything, think through it, then come online and put it there, because the learning management system is a delivery mode. It is not the beginning and it is not the end. It is just the channel through which you are teaching, but you still remain the one teaching and you plan your teaching. So that's what I can say, Christine.
Wow, that's quite good. You have just mentioned that how will learning actually be measured? I find that as something interesting. So colleagues, the lines are open for more questions, comments.
Christine, can I go first?
Yes, please. Sam, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Sam Ongom. From Uganda, I work with Japaigo. This is my first time to join, and I came to learn. And I must say, Richard, the work, thank you so much for that great work. And 2 quick points I pull out here is one, what the learner is going to learn or what they should be able to do. And then how will the learners learn? I think you thinking broadly and seeing how this should run. And then how do we measure that learning is taking place? So for me, this is my first time I'm gaining a lot. But Richard, one key question is on one of the pages, you kept clicking, and you know, when you are not clicking on this side, it looks very easy that you click, you move to the next. But one question, I saw a page where it is edible page, I think page for content, but edible. So my question is the learner able to click and edit? If yes, then won't the content be disorganized?
Over to you, Richard. Richard, are you there?
Christine, looks like Richard dropped out.
Okay. We seem to have lost Richard, but nonetheless, we are a community. So you have had Sam's comment or question. Thank you, Sam. So this is open to all of us. Anybody who can respond to that, please open your mic and respond to Sam's question or comment. Sam, I'm not sure whether the community has picked your question right. Do you want to summarize it and one of us can give it a shot?
Yes, the question was brief. I was just commending Richard on the great work, but my question was on one of the pages we were going through. Is written.
Sorry.
That page you can edit the content.
I clicked on the wrong.
Wondering. Yes, I see Richard is joining. So I was wondering if the learner is able to edit the content, then won't the content be disorganized?
Okay.
Richard, please.
Let me respond to that. Sorry. I clicked on the X when I was on the X button, and then the whole thing. I got offline, but I hope now I'm still online. Am I?
Yes, you are.
Yes, Richard, you are.
Okay, so the view that I was giving you was for me the teacher view. Let me show you some. So if let's go back to the course itself. So you are seeing these edits here. Now this is because I was in teacher view. This course as a teacher, but let me show you what happens. You can in Moodle, you can come here and you switch role. Now, when I switch role, I'm going to become a student. In this course, I'm going to become a student. Then you see what the student can see. So let me become a student in my course. Okay, now this is student view. Let me go back to this topic. This is student view. So in student view, I click here, topic number 2. I say no, topic number 2. As a student, so this is student view. Student view does not have edit. It only has next. They can't edit. Students can't edit this. When I go to next as a student, let me see as it is loading as a student. Yeah, so this is what they can see. For me, I had edit above these words because I was the teacher. But this is what I learned. So Moodle gives you a chance to see the things that way students will see them. So whatever you are developing, check how does a student see? How does you keep checking? It gives you that chance so that in case there's anything, you correct it. So Christine, I hope I have answered the colleague's question.
Yes, you have. Thank you. So colleagues, we still have time for a discussion. In case you have a comment, a question, go ahead.
Christine, one more thing. Thank you very much, Richard. Now, on the access, is there some specific access code for the student to access the page?
Yes. Now, this being my classroom, it is still it's like any other class in a school. Is that a learner can access? When a learner logs in, for example, when a learner logs into the system, they can come they will see something with what we call colleges. So when they come, or they'll arrive at what we call their dashboard. Let me click on what we call a dashboard so you can see what we call a dashboard. So Moodle has what we call a dashboard. When a learner logs in, they arrive at this page, which is called a dashboard, which has the courses they have ever. But Macquarie University is organized in a collegiate system. So they can click on colleges here, colleges. So depending on how you have organized, some universities organize according to faculties, other. So colleges, then you look for your college. Look for your college, okay? Maybe you are in the College of Business, look for your college. The college as a learner, look for your school, okay? Look for the department where your program falls. Look for the department. Then look for which course, maybe Bachelor of Commerce, okay? Then which year are you? Maybe year 1. Then the paper you're looking for is for which semester. Maybe it's a semester 1 course, okay? Maybe it's a semester 1 course, right? So when you go to semester 1, if your lecturer organized the class there, then which subject, which course unit, then you enter that course unit. Otherwise, another way the learner comes, when you click on colleges, to give you this area here to search. So if you know the course code, for example, if I say COWE 3103, if that's the course I'm looking for, then I search for it. Wait. COWE 3103. I search for the course. I see what will come. Because it's about now, how does the learner access? So it will list them, but if I'm a learner in this one for accounting, then I go in the one of accounting, and it's the one now. It's one I'm demonstrating to you. So when you create these courses, we give learners how to reach those courses, and so when they click, they reach. Then the course itself can have what you call an enrollment key, only given to those who are authorized to enter that course. So, and there are also enrollment methods. There's manual enrollment, where you are the lecturer. The lecturer is the one who brings learners in the course. There's also self-enrollment, where you allow learners who knock at that door to open and enter the class. So that is how learners can access the course. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Richard. We still have time for a discussion, colleagues, so feel free to open your mic, ask a question, contribute, or even paste in the chat room. So I'm trying to check through our chat to see if there are any other questions or comments or additions. Okay, there is a comment that has come to me directly, and this one is, I think, saying that the content has to be aligned with the curriculum. Yes, so Richard, do you want to throw more light on that? This is a comment that came from one of the members.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. So when you develop a curriculum which gives you what you're going to facilitate, then when you're planning what to facilitate, then you go for the. So we have learning outcomes at the level of the curriculum itself. When you're designing learning outcomes, then you come down to topic outcomes like that. So it has to be aligned. Alignment sometimes even begins with the national education outcomes. Then as a nation, what is our philosophy? As a university, what is the philosophy? As a college, like that, up to everything can be aligned. And some countries you find that every other 5 years, they communicate the educational agenda for the next. So all universities align their teaching to it. So alignment, it's correct. It begins at all levels. Christine?
Yes. I think another one is 2 comments. Apology, I have an evening class. Oh, that's okay. This other one says that when shall we have hands-on to be able to do what you have been demonstrating?
Okay. Yeah, we are going to have hands-on. I think soon as the session is now that we have started we have set one foot into the Moodle platform, we are going to start by planning. Like I said, planning. Do we have learning outcomes? Do we have activities? Do we have assessment strategy? Do we have resources? Now let's go to the platform, put them here, put them here, put them here. So I think it depends on how quickly we design our learning outcomes. If we agree here, and then our activities, and then our resources, and then our assessment strategy. We can go online anytime. Even the next session can have an online. The next session can have an online bit if we have planned very well, or the one after the next one. If we say the next session is for planning what to put online, then we shall plan. Then the one after that one, we go online. So it's better that way. So that's what I can say, Christine. That will depend on if we're ready by the next session. If we all agree that no, we have our learning outcomes, we have our activities aligned, we have our resources aligned, we have our assessment strategy, all of them are here, we have a file. So when we go online, we just say, put this here, put this here, put this here, put this here. We also agree on what platform we are using as a community, what Moodle platform, where is it hosted, where is it housed, so that everyone can come into it. Then I've shown you the Mackay University platform. I don't think it can be open, but then AFROHUN could have a place where we can do this. So, but shall go online, definitely. It's part of the plan and part of the reasons why we came for this.
Thank you.
Over to you.
One last question from Dr. Irene. Dr. Irene, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Christine, and thank you, Richard, for that presentation and, of course, addressing the challenge at hand. So as you were scrolling through the course, you just see a lot, you just see time and effort that has gone into setting up that platform, populating it, creating those activities, and of course, then resources, uploading the resources. So, and I believe most of the faculty are busy people. So I want you to walk us through sort of what it takes, or what it looks like in terms of baby steps, and encouraging us to not to fear to venture into this sort of a roadmap that can ease us into this process. I know it's a moving target and updating continues, but can you just give us a sort of an impression of the timelines, and just encouraging the team, the participants to take those baby steps and keep moving and uploading. I know we'll get to that to do it practically, but just the feel of that, such that we don't drop off next time, because we see that there's a lot that goes into. When I saw you opening those courses, certainly you just see time and effort that has been put into that. And of course, we need to be intentional in doing this, but I just wanted you to just ease us into the process. Over. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Yeah, some kind of roadmap, constructive alignment. We're going to align our courses. We shall begin with planning our intended learning outcomes. That one is some process. So we can say, we can meet here, and then we get that guide. How do you state intended learning outcomes? Then we take off time stating those ones. Now, I'm going to talk in terms of the idea that we meet once a month. Okay. That we meet, and if we have a 40-minute session, this is how we state intended learning outcomes. And so we go through that process. Then we go through activities. How do you design activities? But we know that learning outcomes drive even what you teach. So after intended learning outcomes, the next thing is, do our topics align with the outcomes? The topics for which you want to make activities, do they align with the outcomes? So we shall design topics. We shall align our topics. Then from that, we shall now talk about activities. After aligning topics, talk about now activities. Which activities do you need for that, for each of the topics that you have stated? So we've begun with our courses, learning outcomes of our courses, then the topics we need, then for each topic, the learning outcomes of each topic. Now, if we're meeting monthly, so you can imagine that I talk about now about 2 months for that, but it's because we are meeting monthly. As if we're meeting twice a week, many things will happen 2 times a week. Then we have our learning outcomes of topics, then topic activities. Learners, I want my learners to watch this video, read this article, discuss in a forum, visit the ward, see patients, have a Zoom session. Now, I'm planning this topic. That's the session also. How do we plan topics? Then design activities for all the topics. Now, if you have 15 topics, plan for all the 15. Then resources, including open educational resources. Where do I get resources from? For each of my topics, are there databases? And then you gather the resources for each topic and arrange them, say, in topic-specific folders. Arrange. Then assessment strategy for each of the topics. How would you know learning has taken place? For each of the topics. If there are 15, for each of them you plan. Now, if you're meeting monthly, I can imagine you're doing this. We meet, then you go and do that for that month. Then when you return, we have some kind of assessment sharing, then we have the next bit. Then after assessment strategy, now implementation. How am I going to split these 18 topics in the 15 weeks of the semester? That's also planning. Because what I showed you there has 8 topics, but it's covered in 15 weeks. That's how I spread. So that's also planning. That's also the planning stage. What will my learners cover which week to cover the 15 weeks of the semester? Then you cluster. Week 1, this. Week 2, this. This topic goes for 2 weeks. So this is what they do in 1 week. So I do in the second week. Clustering and planning. All that you have done on paper. Now, go online. Put the first week here. Put the second week here. Put the third week. So the real practical model work is something we can do here for 1 hour or 2. A course can be there. But the planning of the teaching online is done outside the platform. The planning is done outside the platform. So those are about maybe 6 meetings. 6, if you're working hard, 6 meetings. But for us, I know we can work hard because we have a whole month in between, so we can work. Otherwise, it will be intensive, 6 meetings, intensive, maybe with a week in between. We study something, go and do it. Study something, go and do it. Study something, go and do it. So those are about 6 meetings to 7. Okay. And I've not factored in feedback. That is where we meet and then ask you, what did you do? Share with your colleagues. Then we give you input. Okay. So that is it, Christine.
All right. Yes, our time is fast spent, but thanks so much, Richard. And we can continue this discussion, colleagues. I should mention at this point that we have a platform called Slack. And in case you are not yet on Slack, please drop us an email, drop me an email. We are going to share with you a link and we invite you, but I can see that most of you are already on Slack. So continue to share questions, comments. There are even additional materials that we have on Slack. I have seen a question where somebody was asking for a link. We shall share that link in a subsequent email. But yes, we encourage you to join Slack and continue this discussion, questions, comments, but also you'll be able to access additional materials. So before I invite our next presenter, I should also mention that we do provide attendance certificates And for you to have this certificate, we encourage you to take a quick survey. The link to that survey has been shared in the chat room. Please take that survey. It is really important because it helps us to improve this session, especially the subsequent sessions. So colleagues, take that survey. It is already pasted in the chat room. Yes, I can see other questions coming in, but at this point, allow me to invite one of us, our own Constance, who is going to take us through a high-level overview or highlights from the surveys that we have taken, the first two surveys, for us to see what is happening. And again, this should also encourage us to take today's survey because it helps us to know what we should bring next. Over to you, Connie.
Thank you, Christine. I hope you can all see my slides. My name is Constance Ware. I am a program specialist with Project ECHO, and I am going to present the data that we have collected so far from the surveys that you have responded to from the July and August sessions. So the purpose of these surveys is to understand your satisfaction levels with the session content and with how the sessions have been organized. And this slide also just shows you some of the information that we collect based on the questions that are asked in the surveys, and we'll look at them in more detail in the next slides. So we'll be looking at the cumulative results for the July and August surveys, and we have received 46 responses so far from the surveys we have provided. And you can see here that the jump in the knowledge level from those who said they were extremely knowledgeable or very knowledgeable before the session to after the session, it was 34% before, and after the session, we have 77%. So that was quite an increase in the knowledge level that you assessed yourself as having. And 74% of people found that the sessions were relevant. They gave ratings of extremely relevant or very relevant. And 78% of people felt that the sessions were a balanced learning experience, that there was not too much of a lecture or too much interactive learning activity. And another question we asked was, would you recommend these sessions to your colleagues? And with ratings of definitely yes or probably yes, 89% people said that they would recommend sessions to their colleagues. And would you use what you have learned in these sessions? 82% of the respondents said that they would definitely or probably use what they have learned in these sessions. And another question that we asked was, how would you then use what you have learned in these sessions? 54% of you said you would share with your colleagues. 41% of you said you would look up additional information, and 39% of you said you would use general information from the sessions. And we asked what barriers are there to using what you have learned in these sessions. An equal number of you said that there were no barriers as those who said that there was a lack of resources, and 26% of you said that you needed more training. 15% of you said that you lacked time in order to use what you have learned in these sessions. And here we're just going to quickly compare the July and August sessions. The July session was modes of learning in open distance and e-learning, and the August session was 21st century skills required for effective learning. So we had 29 people respond to the survey in July and 14 people who responded to the survey in August. And the major difference I'll just point out here is in July, 93% of the respondents said that they would recommend the sessions to their colleagues, and 80% in the August session said that they would recommend the sessions to their colleagues. So here, the organizers, the planners can look, what are the opportunities that the responses are giving us? Why would there be a difference in the number of people who would respond to the sessions in July and August? And this can help us improve the sessions. Based on your feedback, we can improve the sessions. We can look at how we can meet your needs better in the upcoming sessions. And next, we will look at how you responded to the open-ended questions, where you were able to write in your response. So the first question that we asked that was open-ended was, what part of this session was most helpful to your learning? And in July, you responded that the case study was very helpful to your learning, hearing what other countries' challenges, what they're going through. You also felt that the insight from the SME was very helpful to your learning. The discussion and the specific topics that were also presented during the session were also very helpful. In August, it was also pretty much the same. The SME presentation was very helpful to your session, to your learning. And also the graphics that were used in the presentation made it more interactive, and the assessment activity as well. And the other question was, how could this session be improved to make it a more effective learning experience? For July, some of you felt it was perfect as is. Some wanted some more specificity. You wanted us to be able to identify next steps. You wanted materials to be shared before the session so that you could review them. You wanted more interactivity, more discussion, smaller groups, exercises. A couple of people asked for longer sessions, and also some people mentioned the need for more multimedia in the PowerPoint presentations, not just having text up to text. And in August, there were also some similarities. People wanted longer sessions, more time for presentation and participation. Other people also wanted shorter sessions, though. They wanted a shorter session, which was more precise and more practical. And we've heard some of that today. People wanted more practical than theory. And we also asked, what would you like to learn about more in future learning opportunities? You want to know what's coming down the line. You want to know the calendar of the sessions. You also want to know what is the strategic plan for implementing e-learning online project in Africa. You wanted to know how that will be made equitable. You also wanted to learn how other schools are doing it, local examples from here in Africa. Some people also wanted to know how other countries outside Africa are implementing e-learning so that perhaps they could compare and contrast. You also wanted to know about facilitation skills, how to improve computer skills for teachers. These were just some of the suggestions that were provided in the surveys. For August, you also want to know examples from other schools. You wanted evaluation and testing to learn more about that, blended teaching, practical lessons. So from all these, we just ask ourselves, what are the opportunities? How can we improve these sessions? How can we engage more? And so thank you so much for your feedback. Please take time to answer the survey questions. It will only take you about 2 or 3 minutes, but we very much appreciate your feedback.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you very, very much. I think that was really it and very necessary. Just to let our community members know that generally this feedback is informing our upcoming sessions. We are going to put all this into consideration. So keep hopeful. So before I can invite Dr. Irene, let me make a few announcements. One being that I've talked about Slack. We have a platform called Slack, and I think we have pasted the link in the chat. Please join Slack and access more materials. That is one. The other announcement I should make is that our next session is going to be at the end of October, and that will be on the 27th. But in the meantime, we are going to drop you emails, but also specifying exactly what we are going to be covering. But I should assure you that moving forward, the next sessions are going to be more hands-on, more practical, like Richard did mention. So let us remain hopeful. You would see that come to pass. So I also wanted to mention that we would like you to take the survey, and I think you can already see that the surveys you've taken before, they have helped us to, pull up the things that we should really consider for our upcoming session. So please take the survey. It is in the chat room. The link is in the chat room so that we can get your feedback. Okay. And lastly, in case you are interested in being one of the presenters, you probably want to present a case, please write to us. We are going to look at the different people that will get back to us, and we organize when you can present. Otherwise, we want to really thank you. This has been very interactive. Let us continue pasting our charts, our questions in Slack, and we shall get feedback because on the platform we have quite a number of experts. At this point, colleagues, allow me to invite our own Dr. Irene Naigaga to give us closing remarks. Over to you, Dr. Irene.
Okay, thank you, Christine. I'm going to be brief. We have already come to the end of our time, and I know it's evening in most parts of Africa, so we are all at the end of our day. So I would like to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank you, our participants, for keeping online and coming to these trainings. I know we are busy people and every minute counts, but to spare time to attend for 1.5 hours, we really appreciate you. As organizers, we appreciate you for this. Thank you so much to the ECHO team that is always supporting us all the way through this process. We appreciate you, your commitment to AFROHUN. To all the presenters for today, thank you so much, Christine, for facilitating the session. To the case presenter, to Richard, we thank you so much for your time you've taken to prepare and share with us. So as a closing remark, maybe just to encourage the team to keep coming. COVID is here with us, but in the education sphere, let's purpose to beat COVID. Of course, it has affected our training, but we can't let COVID win. Let's learn these new skills. Let's improve our learning. I know we are all at different levels of e-learning in our universities, but also in our personal experiences. But let's be intentional. We've put together a team of experts, and we want at the end of the day to be a community that is going to improve learning and promote learning and serve as champions of e-learning on the continent. So I encourage you to come again for the next session. Let's be patient. We all want to hit the practical road. We can't wait to get practical, but we need to understand the principles and appreciate these principles because they will come in really handy when we get into the practical sessions. So those sessions are coming, but let's hang in there and let's keep coming. Soon we'll be getting to the computers. Yes, like Christine said, our next session is there next month. So we're expecting to see you. With those few remarks, I would like to wish you all a nice evening and good morning to our colleagues in the US.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And that marks the end of our session, colleagues. See you next month, but we can continue chatting via Slack. We are going to send you invites for those that are not yet on Slack. Thank you very much, and bye-bye. Merci, merci, merci.
Forever, merci, merci, our interpreters, thank you.
Yes.
Agatha and let me see who is the other. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so the organizers,